Most kids have imaginary friends. Most of them are harmless, until they start knowing things they shouldn't. Tonight, we're looking at 13 Reddit stories about kids and their creepy imaginary friends. These aren't cute tea party companions or made-up superheroes. These are friends with full names, detailed backstories, and habits that line up a little too well with old houses, dead relatives, and things parents never told their kids. You'll hear about children who insist someone else is in the room with them, chairs that rock on their own because she's sitting there, rules their friend gives them, and conversations with people no one else can see. Maybe it's just imagination. Maybe it's not only their imagination. Turn the lights down. Think about any kid you know who talks to an empty corner and ask yourself if their friend is fake. Why do they both keep looking at the same spot? This is 13 creepy imaginary friend stories. Story number 1 from user Midnight Static. My 4-year-old keeps talking about his invisible twin sister.
So this is going to sound all over the place, but I swear I'm not exaggerating any of it. Before my son was born, we picked the name Sophia for a future daughter. We just had this weird certainty, like, yeah, she's out there, she'll come to us someday. Never told my son that in any real detail. It was just a name we had chosen and sort of held on to. When he was about 2, he was eating bow tie pasta and out of nowhere said, "This looks like twins." I thought he meant because it was symmetrical, but I remember literally saying to my family, "Did this baby just say twins?" File that away. Around 3, he starts talking about Sophie. According to him, Sophie is invisible, very far away, really high up. Nobody else can see her. He met her in a tree and she's very tiny. Again, at this point, he has no reason to know that Sophia is the name we picked for a future daughter. Side note that keeps me up at night. When he was about 1, I saw a medium. She told me my son's great-grandmother was holding a baby girl for me. I shrugged it off because what do you even do with that? Fast forward, he's 4.5 now, and I literally have a running note on my phone with all the stuff he's said about his twin sisters. Plural. He's been talking about them for over a year. The details don't drift. They're weirdly consistent. Here's some of what he's told me about Sophie. She's invisible. Nobody can see her. She's way high up in a tree, but also way far down, and you need a shovel. There's a ladder and a beautiful, colorful slide that goes everywhere and nowhere, and that's how she'll get here. She's going to come in her due time. She's unsure of new people and has to finish things up before she comes. She's very tiny and follows him around. She wears a pink bow on her head. She can turn into 2 Sophies, and when she does, they're named Pink and Pink, and they're his twin sisters. He described the exact newborn hospital pink bow hats when I asked what kind of bow. She can transform. She can come through walls and doesn't need doors. That's what happens when you die. She's a ghost. She lives in a beautiful house in a tree. Again, this is not me paraphrasing for drama. These are word-for-word phrases I've written down over time. Same story, repeated in different contexts, no prompting. We moved across the country to Florida recently, and he told me he's so excited to decorate the house for the babies with snails. That was very specific. Snails. We actually had an image generated based on everything he described about Sophie's house. I showed it to him without explanation, and he said, totally calm, "Yes, that's Sophie's house." He says he's met her a few times, that she helps him, that she follows him, that she's waiting, that she'll come when she's ready. I don't know how else to say this. It all makes sense in its own internal logic, and it also scares the absolute shit out of me. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for reading. I just needed to put this somewhere. Is this just intense imaginary friend stuff? A kid with a wild internal world? Or does this sound like something else to anyone?
Story number 2 from user Ceiling Stain Prophet. My kid had a purple mommy. I still don't know what to do with that.
This started when my son was first learning to talk. He could barely string sentences together, but he was very clear about one thing: purple mommy. At first, I thought it was a silly toddler thing, like an imaginary friend with a weird name. Then the details started piling up, and now I kind of wish I'd never asked him any follow-up questions. According to my son, Purple Mommy is all purple with long hair and bright, all-white eyes. Side note, at the time he mixed up the words purple and black, so she might have been all black instead. Picks him up at night and turns the lights off. Needs a bandage because she has blood everywhere. Has no smile, which he explained as no mouth. Can take her head off. Really doesn't like Daddy. This wasn't a one-off creepy comment either. He told us some version of this for about a year, maybe a little more. During that same time, we'd often find him out of his crib in the morning. He was at the stage where he was barely walking, but somehow we were supposed to believe he climbed over the crib railing, got down to the floor, and didn't break his neck. A few times, we'd walk in and find his bedroom lights off in the morning. That wouldn't be weird, except he was absolutely terrified of the dark. This kid would cry if the hallway light was off, but somehow he was chilling in a pitch-black room. He'd wake up crying almost every night, not just a little whimpering either. Full-on, panicked screaming. If we ever asked, "Where's Purple Mommy?" he would always point to the same exact spot, the corner of his room behind the open closet door. Never anywhere else. Not under the bed, not in the hallway. Always that corner. The worst moment was one especially bad night. He'd been waking up over and over crying and inconsolable. My wife finally went in exhausted and asked him, "What's wrong? Why won't you sleep?" He looked past her toward that same corner behind the closet door and said, "Purple Mommy won't let me sleep." He doesn't talk about her anymore. I'm glad he grew out of it. I just wish I could stop looking at that corner every time I walk past his room in the dark.
Story number 3. From user Cornfield Silhouette. My little brother's imaginary friend matched a real dead guy at the end of our lane.
When my younger brother was about 6, he had this imaginary friend he always called John. Nothing super weird at first. He'd talk about John occasionally, set a place for him during tea, even make him a Christmas card every year like, "To John, Merry Christmas." We all just thought it was kid stuff and kind of cute. My mom only told me the rest of this years later. One night, she was tucking him into bed, and they were having those quiet little bedtime chats. She decided to ask a bit more about John, just for fun. She goes, "So, how old is John?" My brother answers, completely serious. "He's 7, but he died when he was 32. Mom said the way he said it was so casual it made her skin crawl. She got this horrible cold feeling and just changed the subject. After that, she never asked about John again and tried to ignore it. A while later, she mentioned it to my dad, and they actually looked into it. We live in a rural area, so local accidents stick in people's memories. Turns out, about 20 years before my brother was born, a man named John really did die in a motorcycle accident. He crashed at the bottom of our lane. He was 32 years old.
Story number 4. from user clipped through floor. My daughter's imaginary friend keeps shushing the house at 3:12 a.m.
My 3-year-old has an imaginary friend named Quiet Girl. Cute name. Not a cute vibe. It started a couple months ago when my daughter Lily asked me to stop breathing so loud. I said, "I'm across the room, kiddo." And she rolled her eyes at 3 and said, "She says it tickles her when you breathe on her. No one is near her. No one is between us." I ask who she is. Lily just goes, "Quiet Girl, she's hanging." I think she means hanging out. Later I ask, "Where's Quiet Girl right now?" "She's in the corner, but she's not touching the floor this time." Cool. Love that. A few nights later, around 3 a.m., I wake up to Lily in the baby monitor. She's sitting bolt upright in bed, not crying, just listening. Head tilted, eyes wide. Then she lifts a finger to her lips and goes, "Shh, shh, shh." Long pauses between each one, like she's listening between the shushes to see if something stopped. I go in and ask what she's doing. She whispers, "We have to be quiet. Quiet Girl is checking the noises." The noises is how she now refers to any creak, pipe, fridge hum, whatever. Everything is all the noises. And Quiet Girl apparently doesn't like them. New rules in my house, courtesy of the invisible roommate. No flushing the toilet after bedtime. It makes her neck hurt. No music during bath time. She can't hear the walls if the song is on. No shutting Lily's bedroom door all the way. She has to go in and out to count. I asked what she's counting. The breaths. I laughed it off. Kids are weird. Then the 3:12 a.m. thing started. For the past 2 weeks, my phone screen lights up at 3:12 exactly. No notification, just the screen waking up on the nightstand. I only noticed because it kept waking me up. First night, I thought I bumped it in my sleep. Second night, I made sure it was way off to the side, still lit up at 3:12. Third night, I put it face down. I woke up to the reflection of the screen light on my closet door. 3:12. So last night, I decided to actually get up and check on Lily right then instead of just rolling over. She was awake, sitting up in bed again, finger to her lips. When she saw me, she didn't say hi. She didn't ask for water. She just whispered, "You're not supposed to move during the counting." I asked, "Who said that?" She glanced over my shoulder at the open doorway and said, "She did. She's in the hall now. She already counted your room." Something about the way she said "already" made my stomach drop. I tried to play it cool and said, "Okay, well, I'm your mom. I can move if I need to." Lily frowned like I broke some sacred law and whispered, almost annoyed, "Then she has to start over. That makes her mad. She has to go back to the first breath and do all the 3s again." All the 3s. I asked what that meant. Lily shrugged. She likes 3s. That's why she walks at 3-3-3 and 3-1-2. I didn't like that answer. This morning at breakfast, in full daylight, I tried again. What happens when Quiet Girl finishes counting? Lily answered with her mouth full of cereal, completely casual. Then she knows who is too loud. Then she can turn them off. I asked what turn them off means. She just tapped her own chest twice like she was pressing a button and then went completely still for about 3 seconds. No blinking, no chewing, just off. Then she smiled and kept eating. No more baby monitor for me. I'm not sure if that makes it better or worse. Anyway, if anyone else has had a kid with an imaginary friend obsessed with silence and specific times, please tell me this is a phase. Because right now, every time the house creaks after dark, my first instinct isn't, Old pipes. It's checking the clock to see how close it is to 3:12.
Story number 5 from user Cache Corruption. Open the door, I'm outside.
Not my 3-year-old exactly, but this probably has something to do with her. So my daughter has an imaginary friend. Totally normal kid thing, right? I try to encourage her imagination, so when she talks to this friend, I play along. I'll say hi, ask their name, pretend I'm including them when she sets up her little tea parties. It's cute. Or it was. Last night, I'm dead asleep when I hear a child's voice whisper, clear as day, right by the bedroom door. Open the door, I'm outside. I sit up, heart going, and nudge my wife. I just heard a kid say, open the door, I'm outside. She doesn't even open her eyes, just tells me I'm dreaming and to go back to sleep. I'm lying there trying to convince myself she's right when my phone buzzes 3 times in a row. Motion alerts from my side door camera. Person detected. Now I'm fully awake. I open the app and check the live feed. Nothing. Just my empty side yard. I go to the notifications and watch the motion clips one by one. Each clip shows the motion-activated light turning on. The camera clearly registers something as a person, but there's nobody there. No animal, no bug on the lens, nothing weird with shadows. Just the light snapping on like someone walked right up to the door. The only thing I can't shake? That voice sounded like a little kid, and my daughter's friend keeps telling her they like playing outside our house at night.
Story number 6 from user Ouija Planchette. Kindergartner said, something that made my teacher brain short circuit, and not in a cute way.
All right, veteran teachers, tell me I'm overreacting, because my spidey senses are tingling in a way that's far beyond the usual someone glued glitter to the toilet seat level. I teach kindergarten, and usually the bizarre things they say are hilarious or just a product of their amazing imaginations. Today, though, one of my quieter students, a sweet little girl named Lily, said something that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. We were doing circle time, talking about our families. I asked Lily if she had any siblings. She nodded, her eyes a little distant. I have a brother, she said softly. Oh, that's lovely. What's his name? I asked, encouraging her to share. She looked down at her hands, fiddling with her fingers. After a moment, she looked back up at me, and her expression was just flat, empty. He's not born yet. He's waiting under the floor. The other kids were chattering, completely oblivious, but I froze. Waiting under the floor, I repeated, trying to keep my voice light. What do you mean, sweetie? She just shrugged, that same vacant look in her eyes. He whispers sometimes. He says it's cold. My classroom is on the 2nd floor of a relatively modern building. There's no basement directly beneath us, just the 1st grade classrooms. There's definitely no under the floor, in a literal sense that a child would comprehend. I gently tried to steer the conversation back to other family members, but that sentence hung in the air. Later in the day, during free play, I saw Lily sitting by herself, drawing with crayons. I knelt down beside her. Lily, I said softly, you mentioned your brother earlier. Is that something you imagined, or is that something you feel? She looked up at me, and for a split second, her eyes seemed much older than 6. He's real. He's just not here yet, but he's waiting for me. Then she went back to her drawing, a picture of a house with strange, dark shapes underneath it. I've heard kids talk about imaginary friends, but this felt different. The calmness of her delivery, the unsettling imagery of being under the floor, and whispering about being cold, it just felt deeply wrong. I briefly considered talking to the school psychologist, but I worry about making a big deal out of something that could just be a child's quirky imagination. But I can't shake this feeling. Teachers have read it. Have you ever heard a child say something that genuinely creeped you out? Am I being overly sensitive? Should I just chalk this up to the weirdness of kindergarten? TLDR. My 6-year-old kindergarten student matter-of-factly told me she has a brother who isn't born yet and is waiting under the floor, where he whispers that it's cold.
Story number 7 from user Van Across the Street. My 4-year-old's imaginary friend gave me the worst chills of my life.
So, this happened last night, and I still feel weird even writing about it. My daughter, 4F, has had an imaginary friend for a few weeks now she calls Mr. Long. At first, I thought it was just your run-of-the-mill invisible buddy thing. You know, cute and harmless. She'd chat to him, laugh, sometimes even save him a seat at the table. Classic stuff. Until yesterday, she's sitting in the living room playing with her blocks, and I'm half watching her, half scrolling on my phone. She pauses and turns to the empty corner of the room, nods and says, "Okay, but not this mommy. She's the nice one." So naturally, I'm like, "What?" She giggles and goes, "Mr. Long says one of the mommies used to scream a lot in this house, but you don't scream unless it's spiders." Which is true, honey. I once screamed like I was being murdered because of a centipede, but I've never told her about the old tenants or anything like that. I asked her what Mr. Long looked like, her exact words. "He's tall like the doorway, but he doesn't bend when he walks. He just slides." Slides. Like a damn Roomba, possessed by Slender Man. I laughed nervously and said, "Well, tell Mr. Long to be nice." She smiled and said, "He is nice, he just watches to see who's going to be mean again." I didn't sleep much last night. Anyone ever get the feeling their kid might be a little too tuned in? Edit. Yes, I saged the house. No, I don't want to know what happened to the other mommy, and yes, Mr. Long is apparently still here. Watching. Quietly. Always. Kill me.
Story number 8 from user Candle Cipher. My niece just told me something really unsettling about her friend, Mr. Grumbles.
Hey everyone, long-time lurker, first-time poster, needed to share something my 5-year-old niece Lily said today that genuinely sent a shiver down my spine. Lily has had an imaginary friend for a few months now. We've all just kind of rolled with it. It's normal, right? His name is Mr. Grumbles, and apparently he's a very quiet, fluffery something. She mostly just talks about him sitting with her during playtime or sharing her snacks, which then mysteriously disappear. LOL. But today was different. I was helping my sister, Lily's mom, with some chores, and Lily was drawing at the kitchen table, chattering away to Mr. Grumbles as usual. I wasn't really paying attention until I heard her say, in this really calm, matter-of-fact voice, "Mr. Grumbles says when the lights go out, that's when the lost things come to visit. He says they're looking for their eyes." I froze. My sister stopped what she was doing and looked at Lily, a little concerned. "Lost things, sweetie. What kind of lost things?" my sister asked gently. Lily didn't even look up from her drawing. "The ones who can't see anymore. Mr. Grumbles says they whisper in the dark, trying to find where they left them." Okay, that was already creeping me out. But then she added, still in that same unnervingly calm tone, "He says sometimes they try to take your eyes, Aunt Candle Cipher, because they think they might fit better." My blood ran cold. I forced a nervous laugh and said something like, "Oh, well, my eyes are pretty stuck in there, I think." But inside, I was seriously freaked. My sister tried to brush it off, saying, "Lily has a very active imagination and probably overheard something on TV, but Lily doesn't really watch anything scary." And the way she said it, it felt so detached and almost knowing. Later, I asked Lily a bit more about Mr. Grumbles. She said he lives in the corner of her room where the shadows are the deepest. She also mentioned he has lots of soft fur and that he doesn't have a mouth to talk with, only quiet noises. The lost things looking for their eyes comment is really sticking with me. It's just so specific and unsettling for a 5-year-old to come up with. So, Reddit, am I overreacting? Is this just normal imaginary friend stuff gone a little dark? Or should I be a little more concerned about what Mr. Grumbles is whispering in the shadows? TLDR. My 5-year-old niece's imaginary friend, Mr. Grumbles, told her that when the lights go out, lost things come looking for their eyes and might try to take yours.
Story number 9 from user Fluorescent Grim. Saw a kid talking to her imaginary friend in the woods, but I swear I heard it answer.
Okay, so this just happened about an hour ago, and I'm still kinda shaken. I live near a wooded area and sometimes go for walks to clear my head. There's a trail that's not super well traveled, but it's safe enough, and I've never really had any weird vibes from it. Until today. About halfway through the walk, I hear this faint giggling off to the side of the trail. Not suspicious horror movie. Giggling, just a regular little kid laugh. Still, kinda weird since I hadn't seen anyone else out. I slow down and see a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, standing by a tree stump, talking to someone I couldn't see. She's got her back to me, and I can hear her saying stuff like, "No, you can't come in my house. Mommy said no more sneaky tricks." Then she laughs again and says, "Because you got in my cousin's eyes and made her bite her hand." At this point, I'm like, the hell? I stay still, thinking maybe there is someone with her, maybe another kid behind the stump or something. I was just about to call out and ask if she was okay when I swear to God, I heard a second voice, deep, raspy, not a voice that should come out of anyone that small. It said, and I quote, "But I miss your cousin." The girl goes totally quiet. Then, like she's trying to be extra nice to calm it down, she says, "We talked about this. You promised not to leak out again." Leak out? That was my cue to slowly, quietly back away and GTFO. Didn't see anyone else when I left the trail. No parents, no other kids, nothing. Just that girl in the woods talking to whatever the hell that was. Should I report this to someone? Or just move, burn my shoes, and start a new life somewhere without forests or children? Edit. Yes, I know kids are weird. No, I did not imagine that second voice. And no, I am not going back to see if she's still there. You people are insane.
Story number 10 from Buffering Coincidence. The whole man is the reason I sleep with the lights on.
So, I was babysitting my 5-year-old nephew last weekend. Kid's hilarious, high energy, obsessed with dinosaurs and saying the word "but" as often as possible. Totally normal little gremlin. We're playing with some action figures when he stops mid-sentence, turns to the hallway, and just stares. Me. "Hey buddy, what's up?" Him. "Shh. He's listening." Me. "Who's listening?" Him, very matter of fact. The whole man. At this point, my brain goes into that slow reboot panic where you're trying to decide if a child is joking, having a stroke, or just casually channeling the spirit realm. Me. "Who's the whole man?" Him. "He lives in the ceiling holes and the floor holes. He's not allowed in the bathroom because of the mirrors." Okay, that's a whole list of red flags right there. I ask him what the whole man looks like. He says, "He's all teeth and no face, but he smiles with his neck." I swear to God, this tiny child said that sentence like he was ordering chicken nuggets. Then, totally chill, he adds, "He says he remembers you." Me, already packing my things spiritually. "Oh yeah? From where?" Nephew shrugs. "He just says you forgot something in the dark." I don't know what kind of Stephen King off-brand demon daycare my sister is running, but I haven't slept properly since. Edit. No, I didn't ask what I forgot. Are you out of your minds? That's how horror movies start. I'm just going to assume it was my will to live and leave it at that.
Story number 11 from user Antique Teeth. My son has a quiet friend named Finn.
Hey everyone, another unsettling kid story for you. My 7-year-old Leo has always been a bit of a quiet kid, but lately he's been talking about his quiet friend, Finn. At first, it was innocent stuff. Finn likes the same dinosaurs, Finn sits with him at dinner, etc. But it's been getting weird. The first red flag was a few weeks ago. My grandmother, who Leo had only met a handful of times and who lived in another state, passed away. We hadn't told Leo yet, wanting to find the right time and way. The next morning, out of the blue, Leo said to me, "Finn says Grandma is very tired now, and she's gone to sleep somewhere else, far away." I was floored. My wife and I exchanged a look of disbelief. There's no way he could have known. We chalked it up to a bizarre coincidence. Maybe he overheard us talking quietly or something. But then things got stranger. Last week, my wife misplaced a very sentimental necklace, a gift from her late mother. We searched everywhere, turned the house upside down, but couldn't find it. Leo, who hadn't even seen the necklace recently, walked up to my wife and said, "Finn says it's under the blue blanket in the attic box." My wife and I looked at each other, completely dumbfounded. We hadn't even started looking in the attic yet. Skeptical but desperate, we went up there, and sure enough, tucked under a blue blanket in a dusty old box was the necklace. My wife was visibly shaken. Tonight was the last straw. I was working late in my home office. Leo was supposed to be asleep, but he wandered in, rubbing his eyes. He looked right past me and said, in a low, almost monotone voice, "Finn says the man with the cough will fall soon. He says the red flower will wither." Now, this is where it gets really specific and disturbing. Our elderly neighbor, Mr. Henderson, who lives alone next door, has been battling a chronic cough for months. We've been worried about him. And just yesterday, my wife brought over a potted red geranium to brighten his living room. Leo has never been inside Mr. Henderson's house recently and wouldn't know about the flower. I knelt down and asked Leo, "Who is Finn, honey? Where does he come from?" Leo just stared blankly and said, "Finn is always here. He knows things. He's quiet." Then he just turned and went back to his room. My wife and I are officially freaked out. We've asked him more about Finn, but he's very vague. He says Finn doesn't talk with his mouth, but he just knows things and tells Leo. Is this just an overactive imagination on steroids? Could there be something else going on? We're starting to feel really uneasy. Any similar experiences or advice would be appreciated. TL.DR. My 7-year-old son's imaginary friend, Finn, seems to know things he absolutely shouldn't, including details about a death, a misplaced item, and a concerning prediction about our neighbor. Seriously concerned parents seeking some perspective, and maybe an exorcist referral, just kidding, mostly.
Story number 12, from user Hymn in Reverse. My daughter has an imaginary friend named Buttons.
Kids say weird stuff, right? Everyone tells you that. I've been a parent for 6 years and thought I was immune to the creepy things kids say. I was, until a week ago. My daughter has an imaginary friend named Buttons. Cute name. I assumed it was like a cartoon animal or something. She even drew him once. Just a lumpy figure with long arms and big black circles for eyes. Or maybe they're buttons. Unclear, and honestly, I don't want to ask. Anyway, she's playing with her dolls in her room, and I'm folding laundry just outside the door. She's having a full conversation, which is normal for her. Then she says, "No, Buttons. I don't want to show her what's in the floor." I pause, thinking maybe she's just pretending. Then she says, "Because Mommy doesn't remember the lady with the braid and the red nails." Now, here's the thing. I haven't talked about her in years. When I was a kid, our downstairs neighbor was this old woman who used to braid her hair and had these insanely long red nails. She babysat me a few times. She passed away when I was 10. My daughter has never seen pictures of her. I barely remember her myself. So I go in the room and ask, trying to sound casual, "Hey, who's the lady with the braid?" My daughter looks up and says, "She's the one in the floor. Buttons said you locked her in by accident." I don't know what the hell that means. There's no basement. The house isn't old. Nothing traumatic happened here that I know of. But now every time I walk into her room, I feel watched. And she keeps drawing Buttons. His arms are getting longer. Edit. Someone asked what's in the floor. I don't want to know. I'm considering carpeting everything and pretending none of this ever happened.
Story number 13, from user Offsite Archive. My daughter's mirror friend is starting to worry me.
Hey everyone, I'm a single dad to a sweet but sometimes unsettlingly observant 6-year-old named Maya. Lately, she's developed an imaginary friend she calls Elara, who apparently lives in her bedroom mirror. At first, it was the usual imaginary friend stuff. Maya would wave at her reflection and giggle, saying Elara was waving back or making silly faces. I thought it was cute, if a little unusual to have a mirror-dwelling friend. But things have taken a turn. A few weeks ago, Maya came to me looking genuinely upset. "Daddy," she said, her voice trembling, "Elara says she's sad because she can't come out. She says it's cold on the other side." I reassured her it was just pretend, but the look on her face was so earnest. Then she started describing Elara in more detail. She said Elara looks just like her, but her eyes are darker, like puddles at night, and she always wears the same dress Maya wore for her last birthday party, the one we haven't worn since because it got a small stain on it. Maya hasn't mentioned that dress in ages. The really creepy part started happening this week. I was tucking Maya into bed, and she was facing her large dresser mirror. She suddenly went quiet and then whispered, "Elara says you look tired, Daddy. She says you have shadows under your eyes like hers." I chuckled nervously and said, "Well, Daddy's been working hard, sweetie." But the way she said it, like she was just relaying a message, was unnerving. Last night was the worst. I was in the living room when I heard a soft thud from Maya's room. I rushed in to find her sitting up in bed, staring intently at her mirror. "What was that noise, honey?" I asked, concerned. She didn't look at me. "Elara was tapping," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "She wants me to come play on her side. She says it's more fun there." "Maya, Elara isn't real," I said gently, trying to sound firm but reassuring. "It's just your imagination." She finally turned to me, and her eyes, they looked different, almost vacant. "She is real, Daddy. I see her, and she says soon we can be together on the other side." I pulled her into a hug, feeling a cold dread creep up my spine. I've started covering the mirror at night, but during the day, she still talks to it. She even leaves little drawings and toys facing the glass. For Elara. I'm starting to get really worried. Is this just a phase? Should I be concerned about something more? Has anyone else experienced anything like this with their kids and imaginary friends? Especially ones in mirrors? TLDR. My 6-year-old daughter has an imaginary friend in her mirror who looks like her, knows details she shouldn't, and is now asking her to come play on her side. Seriously creeped out dad seeking advice. Hoping this is just childhood imagination gone a bit spooky, but my gut is telling me otherwise.
And that was 13 creepy imaginary friend stories. Sure, some of these can be chalked up to active imaginations, weird phases, and kids parroting things they've overheard. But a few of them, the ones with specific names, accurate details about dead people and friends who get angry when adults come closer, are a lot harder to write off as pretend. Maybe imaginary friends are just a safe way for kids to process the world. Maybe some of them are sharing the space. If you've ever heard a kid say something about their friend that made you stop and rethink reality for a second, drop it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who babysits and definitely wants to sleep worse tonight. Thanks for watching. And if a child ever pauses, looks past you, and says, they don't like you, don't ask who they are. Just be glad you can't see them.